theatre, film, TV and more. Suzy Wrong reviews it all on Joy Drive.
Hello, Suzy Wrong.
Hey Warren, 7 years ago when it became legal in Australia to be same-sex married, did you think it was going to happen to you soon?
No. No, did you?
No way.
No, I never thought. I mean, I was happy for it, for everyone else. But no, I never thought it would. I always, I'm pleased for it, and I'm all for equality. But for me, marriage was never a big thing. For me, I was never really interested in it, to be honest. I felt like I didn't need that external validation for a relationship either. I was going to validate it myself, and if I couldn't do that, then it wasn't to be. So I never did. But now I suppose I've mellowed a little bit, Suzy. I'm not as harsh.
I think for a lot of queer people, we really had to grow up thinking that it was not in our destiny.
Yeah.
Right? Like it was forbidden for us. So obviously we had to make these justifications in our mind to say that, we don't need it or we don't want it, whatever. And then when it became available, maybe for those of our age group, it's become a little bit too late. I don't feel like all the gay people around me got married. I think I knew I wasn't going to get married, but I feel like very few of us, or very few queer people that I know, have gotten married, and the ones that have gone through divorces. So I don't know what that says about my circle.
Yeah. Well, I'm the same. I mean, I haven't been to a same-sex wedding, to be honest with you. No, I haven't. And I was just never... I mean, I went to the protests and campaigned and did all of that because I think if you do, why shouldn't you have it? Of course you should. We shouldn't be disadvantaged. But for me, no, it wasn't...
Yeah, the whole point of it is just so that we were not excluded, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't really because many of us wanted to. Obviously, some of us did, but I don't think that was the main reason. It was just that we wanted to have the equality.
Yeah, exactly. So we're talking about relationships today because that's part of the movie. Suzy, do you reckon would you, if you met someone and they said let's get married, well, what would you do apart from call me straight away?
I think it depends on the financial situation. I'm a very practical minded when it comes to these things. I don't really understand. If a relationship is really working so well, why you want to introduce really big changes to it. I don't really understand it. I do understand it from the sort of legal financial perspective, just so there's kind of a stability in your future together.
But does it make it stable? Like if you get married, does it really? Isn't it?
Well, if you're accustomed to a certain lifestyle because your partner has a certain level of wealth, and then the person suddenly dies or something.
Okay, yeah, okay. We're talking about wealth.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I know what you mean. Not the marriage itself. More the...
Well, the marriage is meant to kind of secure some of that, I suppose. I'm imagining, because traditionally that was what it was. It was all about your families and how your property melds together. So I think that's still very fundamental to the whole marriage experience.
Would you do a binding financial agreement before you got married?
Well, it depends on how much money that guy's got. I'm not stupid.
If he's loaded, you wouldn't.
I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily that person, but if I'm just imagining these situations, obviously I'm going to be very careful with money. Yeah,
I think so. I think it's a sensible thing to do. I certainly would do it, but that's if we get to that stage. Suzy, we're talking about a movie that's screening as part of the Queer Screen Film Festival. You can catch any of the movies at queerscreen.org.au, but the movie that we're talking about is called Turtles. Give us your review, Suzy.
Not only are Tom and Henry gay married, they have been together as a couple for 30 years. When Henry retires from the workforce, however, a domino effect of changes occurs, causing unpredicted upheaval, leading to a destabilization of the domesticity in this queer divorce dramedy from Belgium. Turtles was part of the 11th Queer Screen Film Festival, which wrapped up just a couple of days ago. I hope you managed to catch it after we said this as homework last week, because it is a delightful film, very well crafted, to deliver an unusual opportunity to see the elders of our community dealing with matters of the heart. Love stories in our media don't often involve older people, and much less LGBTQIA plus seniors. Tom and Henry are well into their 60s, and it is good to examine the ways they navigate not just marriage, but also sex, jealousy, conflict, and loneliness as men approaching their twilight years. Turtles is surprisingly funny. Even though the story centers on Tom and Henry's breakup, there is a lot of humor to be found in watching older people being taken by surprise and unsettled by big changes happening late in life. It appears there are things we handle differently with age, but also some things never change. Evidently, we do know so much more when we're older, but there still are endless amounts that we learn. In Turtles, it's almost reassuring to realize that the awkwardness of life never really goes away. And the film demonstrates that it is certainly not true that being old is boring. Warren, how do you view the phenomenon of getting older?
I love it. I really do. I'm embracing it. I'm enjoying it. I struggled with it because I think as a gay man, and I don't know whether we do this really well, is accept growing old. You know, we come out and we discover ourselves and we discover the scene and we have fun and all this. And I know a lot of us lose ourselves in that and it becomes our identity. You know, we are this sort of gay party animal, but time ticks away and we all get older. And I know a couple of friends of mine are really struggling with that because they didn't really focus on a lot else. And now they're looking, going, well, what have I done with my life? Where am I at? I've always understood that we are going to grow old and I need to accept it. So I'm not struggling with it at all. I love it. I love getting older. I think the wisdom that comes with it, the experience that comes with it is great. What about you?
I have always wanted wisdom from as far as I could remember.
You are the wise old owl.
Do you think?
Yes.
I like to I like to think that I aspire to that. I always wanted to be that way, you know. Even as a child, more than anything else, I admired people who were wise and I always thought that one day I'm going to be so incredibly wise. And I think the implication is that I'll be wise enough to be happy or something like that. I was able to associate age with wisdom and then with wisdom with happiness. And I think there is still some truth to that, although that is a naive way of thinking of things because being wise does not equate being happy because you do understand, you know, the uglier parts of the world that you live in. But also with wisdom, you do know how to manage your life better. You do know your own sort of constitution and your own temperament better. And even, you know, as I continue to age, I do find that is an amazing thing to discover, you know, and this film is about that discovery of yourself as you keep growing older and older, there sort of isn't a plateau, and I am experiencing that, finding that I'm still surprising myself with the things that I've discovered, and so far it's still delightful.
I think, Suzy, the other thing I'm finding as I get older is being more comfortable being in your own company and being by yourself. I don't know what you were like, but I was, I had pretty low self-esteem coming out and very insecure. And, you know, someone could say, oh, let's date. And I'd be like, yes, I'd be grateful for anyone who'll have me. And I'd, of course, hop from relationship to relationship thinking, oh, I was lucky to have someone. And then I sort of thought about it. I was terrified of being by myself, Suzy, absolutely terrified. And then I went through a period where I forced myself to be by myself, and it was really painful at first and quite scary. And now I love it. I mean, I really do. I mean, I'm not saying I would settle down, absolutely, but I wouldn't compromise, and it would be for the right reasons as opposed to doing it because I'm scared of being alone. And I think that's something that has come with age. What do you reckon?
That's an interesting thing, because I sometimes think that I have small bouts of loneliness, but they're so insignificant that I wouldn't, you know, go look for something, a serious relationship or something for that reason. And I do feel like at my age and my sort of circumstances being trans and everything, if I'm not actively and very kind of very fervently going looking for a relationship, it's not going to just like happen out of the blue, I don't think. And there just isn't very much motivation for me to go through that. But, you know, I always say, leave the door open. Just don't shut yourself from possibilities, and maybe something wonderful would happen. I have been in love before, fortunately.
That's a song.
And I remember how wonderful that experience was, and I wouldn't mind experiencing it again. But, you know, where I am today, like you, I'm pretty happy, and I would say that settled is the word I'll use for myself, even though I'm a single person.
Yeah, I agree. There's a comfort, I think, that comes with getting older. Like you mentioned, the wisdom. There's a comfort with yourself and being by yourself. I really enjoy it, to be honest with you. I mean, I love being with my friends. I'm not saying that I'm alone all the time, but in terms of being in a relationship, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, I really couldn't care less, to be honest. It's quite happy. I mean, I go away next week and I'm travelling by myself and I can't wait, to be honest.
So that's one thing that's different between you and I and the characters in the movie, because they never had the opportunity to discover themselves as single people on their own, because they've been in a relationship with each other for such a long time, you know, since they were in their late 20s or something, or maybe 30 years old, and they've been together for 30 years, and then now they're in their 60s, and clearly they're not going to do well without one another.
And the other thing is, and I think, you know, we've all fallen into this trap. It's easy. I know I certainly have. And it's probably something that I definitely wouldn't do again, is lose yourself in the relationship. You know, keep I suppose sacrifice things. I mean, there's like I remember, you know, I love skiing. I love it. I was brought up as a kid doing it, and it's my favourite thing to do. And I remember being in a relationship for about 6 years, and he hated the snow, and I was too scared to go by myself. And so I sacrificed it for a few years, and there were lots of things I was sacrificing, and it became miserable. And I reckon that's something that we fall into. We trap ourselves. We give up ourselves, what we love doing, and just because we think we're keeping the other person happy. But in the end, we change who they fell in love with in the first place. We forget that, and then all of a sudden the relationship's finished. And I kind of feel that's what happened in this movie as well. They sacrificed things that they loved doing, like one of them loved performing drag, and then all of a sudden they're not happy and they've lost themselves in the relationship just to keep the other person happy.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would like to experience what it's like, though, to not lose yourself, but still have someone that close. Like, I can't imagine it being a possibility, because both my long-term relationships involve so much compromise that I wouldn't want to go back there again. But on the other hand, you know, I observe some people, and it does look like it's, you know, it is possible to have your own sense of self, but be in a couple. I wonder what that's like. I mean, if that works out, it must be wonderful.
A couple of things, Suzy. David from Fitzroy, you're very funny. You old folks forgot to talk about the movie. We did. Well, you did at the start, but yeah, good one, David. Good pickup. And the other thing is, I've got a date coming up.
Oh.
That's what I'm going to tell you. Then I'm going on holiday, so you'll have to find out about it when I get back.
Hey, hang on. Is the date happening before...
Suzy, wrong. What's our homework? Yeah, no.
Is the date happening before the trip?
Yes.
Oh, so you're going to have a first date. Is it a first date?
Yes.
And then you're going on a trip.
Yes.
Oh, that's good, because then you won't be doing that. Oh, do I call them?
No.
I'll
be off.
Yeah. Okay, you'll be off, and
I'll be in Vietnam and Thailand. I'll be having fun. I can't wait.
There'll be this understanding that we are not going to see each other. We're not going to call each other. That's right. For a couple of weeks.
It's like a little tester, you know, or taster, shall I say? Right. Taster and tester. All in one. Suzy, we're taking a couple of weeks off, because I'm going to be off for a couple of weeks. You're going to take a couple of weeks off as well, and then we'll be back after that.
Yeah, I think a couple of weeks off might be good. Since we can't even talk about the film anymore at this stage.
I love talking to you. It doesn't work. You do the film. I'm not a film reviewer. I leave that to you. You're the professional when it comes to that. Suzy, always good to talk to you. I'm going to play a bit of a song that's kind of in tune with the movie because they're together and their relationship's falling apart. I won't necessarily spoil it, but they have a blind date with each other, and this is the song. Suzy, we'll catch you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks.
Suzy Wrong on Joy Drive.